What can I say? Rules for thee, but not for me. A common occurrence that we see among the political elite enforcing laws in ways that aren't consistent. Some people get a little bit of a loophole, some people get a little bit of pat on the back, some people get a little bit of wink wink nudge nudge nudge. Well, Mayor Lori Lightfoot from Chicago shows that that is exactly the case. The political elite get special treatment. Let's talk about that. Okay, so before we get going, I gotta say thank you to the sponsor of this channel, Franklin Armory. By now, you guys know they've been a huge supporter in the past. They got all kinds of stuff on the California handgun roster, like their AR pistols that I think is absolutely incredible. They're pushing the boundaries when it comes to NFA laws with their Reformation, which, you know, maybe not the best option out there, and their binary trigger line. Very cool company, very happy to have them on board. I'm happy to have them as a sponsor of this channel. Thank you. So what I want to talk to you about today is this headline here. Fort Lori, which I just think is a great way for them to put it. Fort Lori. Chicago police ban protests on Mayor Lori Lightfoot's block. Order arrests for anyone who won't leave. That's pretty interesting, right? Because, you know, Chicago is just an absolute dump right now. There's been constant sort of protests and whatnot, and it's fine to protest peacefully. I think that's super cool that people are going out there and peacefully protesting. The problem is that they're unable to control when those protests get infiltrated or get co-opted or get out of hand. And I think there's many people to blame on both sides. You know, if the police are instigating or antagonizing some sort of situation, obviously it's a little bit nuanced. There's not necessarily a direct right or wrong. There's no black or white with the sort of severity of who's causing what. There's a little bit of nuance there, but the end of the day is the police are unable to currently maintain the peace, and that's a problem. They're unable to do that while also not allowing the people to stop the violence. So let's read a little bit of this article for you. The Chicago Police Department has effectively banned protesters from demonstrating on Mayor Lori Lightfoot's block in the Logan Square neighborhood, ordering officers to arrest anyone who refuses to leave, the Tribune has learned. The directive surfaced in a July email from then Shakespeare District Commander Melvin Roman to officers under his command. It did not distinguish between the peaceful protesters Lightfoot regularly says she supports and those who might intend to be destructive, but ordered that after a warning is given to demonstrators, it should be locked down. Since the order, and even for a time just prior to its writing, Chicago cops have repeatedly blocked protesters' access to the block with groups of officers and barricades. Police have often kept protesters contained at the nearby corner of Kimball and Wrightwood Avenues, though one standoff between activists and officers last month saw police go as far as bringing in an APC in case things got out of hand. I came up with the name Fort Lori because it's so hard to get in and out, which is just absolutely hilarious. They'll lock down these areas where they live because they don't want people shitting where they eat, but they're totally fine with violent protesters doing all sorts of crazy stuff and not stopping it adequately. So it's just interesting for me to see that. And it brings up the bigger topic that I want us to all talk about today. The government has no duty or obligation to protect you. We've seen this in many court cases that have gone up to the Supreme Court. They have no reason, they have no obligation, and they have no incentive to actually protect you. Their interests are always going to be in themselves because people are selfish, and that's a natural tendency to care about yourself and want to do what's best for you. They're not going to necessarily always have that same level of care going towards everyone else instead of just going towards themselves. So we see here that she's not letting people express their First Amendment rights. Whether they're peaceful protesting or not, they're not letting people in, which I think that's wrong. If people are doing things peacefully there, I think they should be allowed to. However, I also see the side of it that these protests can very easily get not peaceful. And there's a lot of nuance there because you have to allow people to express themselves safely and peacefully, but then you also have to be able to stop people from committing crimes and being violent. I think even the libertarian ideals would still align with that because the bare minimum of the government, the true purpose of it is to provide some sort of safety, some base levels of safety from threats foreign and domestic. I believe is like the core principle of small government interfering as little as possible in people's lives, but still providing some semblance of safety and support. So it's a very interesting topic that I think we really should be aware of. And it's just the absolute audacity of her, though, to just straight up block any sort of actual protests is just kind of ridiculous. Right now, even though in the past she's pushed for gun control, when her safety is in mind, she's going to use the armed guards that she has on her payroll, which is the police departments, to protect her neighborhood. Which is interesting because she's been pushing for stricter gun control federally. She's saying that the problem with Chicago is really that the federal government is too lenient on gun ownership. So it's just very hypocritical to see someone that wants people to have a harder time being able to get the adequate tools that they need to protect themselves, utilize the police force, because everyone says, you know, I carry a gun because a cop is too heavy, or I can't always have a cop with me, or when seconds count, police are minutes away. In this case, she can have the police wherever she wants, whenever she wants. So it's kind of hypocritical for her to have those viewpoints saying, make it harder for people to exercise their right to keep and bear arms, while at the same time having an armed police force that will do her bidding as she pleases. Really just a topic that I wanted to share with you guys today. This was an article that I thought was pretty ridiculous, and I wanted you to see what you guys think about it. Let me know what you think below. I'd love to have those conversations, or see that you guys have those conversations. It never ceases to amaze me, the hypocrisy that people exhibit when it comes to their safety versus the safety of others when it comes to firearms and firearms ownership. You guys know the drill, though. Have fun, be safe, stay dangerous. Peace.
So, brother. Wait, Reno, you don't have a... Oh, you just got your fifth kill. Oh, you see him up there? Nice.
Oh. I hit markered him.
Nice. Go off. Clip it.
That was the
Clip
gayest hit marker I've ever
Like and
seen in my
subscribe.
life.
There's one running back by B.
There's one in the middle, looking at A.
Oh wow, I got booped on.
From the middle,
Good shot.
See, you know what?
Oh wow, I hit him with left,
Fucking
nice, bro.